welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. Chris McGee, James Worthy, Robert Ory. Perez just strolled in. He'll be joining us later. We got Allie working the post-game show with Trudell. Lakers roll 2-0 on the road trip. Franchise best 9-0 on the road this season. They erupted in the first half, Rob. Went up by 30. Cruise from there.
Yeah, they threw it in neutral in the second half, only 38 points. You know, and you got to think about it. AD and LeBron had that many points in the first half.
They had 39 in the first half.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where we talked about is just don't play the score.
Yeah.
Play the game, and I think they got a little shot happy there where a lot of guys was trying to force some things. And I felt like they didn't go to AD enough because he had the size advantage and he was killing them on the inside, but next thing you know, outside shots, turnovers, and a lot of bad things. And I think this is one of those games where it's a good learning moment, a teaching moment where you say, oh, look, we cannot do this anymore. Even though we got a chance to rest our big dogs in the second half, we want to beat people. We don't want to just, cruise through the finish line. We want to beat them.
And if you are looking at the silver lining, I think Rob just hit it, though. You did go low minutes for your starters on the road. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, you asked me what I wanted the second half. That was one of the things I wanted was the big guys to get some rest. It almost, excuse me, it's almost like they took the fight right out of Chicago early in the game, and then the Lakers got bored. They were up 20-25. They just got bored playing. They took Levine out. Kobe White didn't have any impact on the game. Even Levine's points really weren't, impactful. So they got to realize that when they get a teams down, keep playing hard. Don't start getting sloppy. Finish the game out.
All right, guys. Chicago's own Anthony Davis standing by with Mike Trudell.
All right, Anthony Davis, after the last game, you mentioned that you weren't feeling great about your rhythm offensively. Looked like that changed tonight. Everything was going in. You got 11 of your buckets in the paint. What did you see against this Bulls team, and how did you get going early and sustain it in your hometown?
Just came out very aggressive. Like I said, I put a lot of pressure on myself to, be better, to help the team win. And I was able to see the ball go in tonight, which is very good. Not just about keeping it going, but I think it was a great team win. Got away from us in the third quarter. They had 33 points in the third, and we couldn't score. But then we got control of it again. But a great team win, and it's always good to get a win back at home.
Hey, different profiles from the win in Milwaukee, right? That game, you guys hit 19 threes. Tonight, it was 4 until late in the fourth quarter, but you scored in the paint instead. Does that just show you the versatility of this offense?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to rely on the three. If we're making them, then, that's fine. But, we can also, like you say, go in the paint, get to the line, and score from there as well. So tonight was one of those nights where the ball didn't go in from three. So Coach wanted to make an emphasis of getting in the paint and touching the paint and make sure we get to the free throw line. So that was one of those nights where we just was able to dominate in the paint. And if threes came, then we took them, all good shots. But like you said, some nights is going to be, threes. Some nights is going to be in the paint. Some nights is going to be on the line. So I think our team is well-rounded where we can win in different ways.
And last thing, quick for you, 9-0 on the road now, AD. Is that something important to you? Do you guys think about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to win on the road. So it's one point in time in the playoffs, you're going to have to get a road victory. And, for us, it's home. We're struggling at home, and that's where we got to clean up. But, we just want to make sure we keep competing on the road, warrior mentality. And anytime we step on the floor, especially on the road, we only have ourselves here. So we try to rally around each other and make sure that we get the energy that we have to get road wins.
AD, we appreciate it, man.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Mike. AD averaging, just under 18 points per game. Wasn't shooting many threes, just 1 for 6, 71% from the free throw line, just under 10 rebounds. But tonight in his hometown, he erupts for 37, 14 of 21, 2 for 3 from deep, 7 of 9 from the free throw line, and 6 rebounds. Big game. In AD's words after last game, I've sucked as of late. Not anymore, James.
No. And it's good, when players take responsibility. Some guys will just forget about it and wait for the next game or next practice and try to reconcile that. But when you verbalize it and you are aware of it right away like he was, he says, look, I know I'm better. I got to, get my mind ready to play from the beginning of the game. And tonight in Chicago, I don't know what home cooking he got, but whatever he got, that needs to be his pregame meal for the rest of the season.
Maybe they can put it in the containers for him to go on the plane.
Yeah, man. He got busy tonight.
When you hear a player of that level say that about himself, Rob, and by the way, you looked at his numbers over the past 6 games, guys are making $50 million with those kind of numbers, right? Guys in the league would kill for 17 and 10 every night. What kind of message does this send to the team?
It lets him know he's going to step up to the plate and take responsibility. And for him to go out and play in Chicago, his hometown, against a Chicago team that's not that good, it was like the great thing for a slump buster. He needed this slump buster to get out of that slump. And I guarantee you, he says, who's guarding me tonight? Marketing? Who? And he just goes out and just dominates. And that's what you have to do, not in just this situation, but in every situation. And I think the Laker team has to understand that. You never, because he's in Chicago, use AD, ride his coattails, and sometimes let him eat. Not let LeBron always eat, let AD eat because he's the younger, hungrier guy.
James, I remember after that San Antonio loss at Staples Center, he came out, he called out the entire team defensively, held himself accountable as well. The Lakers go on a 6-game win streak, and the defense really tightens up, and now it's the #1 defensive rating. You heard him say it after last game, what he thought of his own game. You expected this tonight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of player he's becoming, and that's a big step, right?
It is for AD to come here, second year. In New Orleans, he was their best player. And he led by example and probably verbally as well. But coming here under LeBron, he sees a whole new meaning of leadership and consistency night in and night out. He came here and said he wanted to be the best defensive player in the league. And he also took like an insult when he said, when we talked about the shot blockers not being here anymore, and then he came out and started altering and blocking shots. So, yeah, you need that type of leadership. You know he can score, you know he can play, but when he can verbalize it, especially the things that no one likes to do that much, and that's defend and all the hard work, that's contagious for the rest of the team.
We've seen over this past year plus how many special games he's had offensively, and every time he does, there's usually the whole package, right? You see the free throw line, efficiency, hitting a few threes, and then that mid-range and in the paint, Rob. We showed that shot chart at halftime. That's exactly what we saw. Back to hitting a couple of threes, the mid-range, and then around the basket, unstoppable.
Yeah, he's a complete player, defensively and offensively. Around the basket, it's hard to stop him with his length. He can jump hook you right, he can jump hook you left, he can face you up, he can go around you. And when he's tired of feasting on the inside, he can step outside the 3 and knock down 3. And the thing I love about AD also, he's holding himself accountable of everything. I think a couple shows back where he says, well, he actually said, my free throws suck. And he's working on his game. Anytime you can take accountability for yourself and go out and work on the game, that lets you know you're striving for a goal. The goal is to be the best player on the team, even though if you have LeBron on it.
Before we get to the highlight, one thing I loved, James, also about this game, and Trudell asked AD about it, and I love the question. Only 4 threes tonight. Brez was talking about the pregame show. This is the best shooting team we've seen in Laker uniforms in terms of three-point shooting. Tonight they didn't have it, so they attacked the paint.
Yeah.
It's big to be able to have that kind of versatility.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have the 3 when you need it, hit multiple threes, and when you don't need it, you go to the paint. They were getting a lot of cuts, a lot of layups. I think they had multiple points in the paint, over 50, I believe. So yeah, when you don't need it, you don't need it. When you need it, you got it for sure. So it's nice to have that double tandem weapons.
Yeah, it also works when you play good defense on the other.
Lakers go to 13-4. The Bulls to 7-9. AD a season high 37 on 14 of 21. LeBron 17 and 11. Trez with 10. We bring in Brez. Hi, Mike.
I want to talk about your gambling. Do you have the under?
No.
In this one?
Sitting in this chair, I'm not gambling. Spread was 9.5. People asking me about it today.
I appreciate the insight. I want to get your football picks for tomorrow before we leave tonight. I got to talk about the Laker defense. I mean, yet again, another strong effort for them. That first half, they gave up 33 points. That's the fewest they've allowed in a half in the first half in 5 years. They gave up about 25 to Phoenix 5 years ago. Incredible defense. You just showed Zach LaVine in the highlight. Remember, just 2 weeks ago, he hit the Lakers for 38 points. Tonight he shot 39%, 7 turnovers. He was frustrated from the start, really never got into his game. And as you kind of alluded to earlier, the Bulls could not hit threes. I mean, people talk about the Lakers hitting their threes this season. They have really good three-point defense, too. Not a real exciting stat, but the Lakers were 4th in three-point defense coming into the game. Bulls 0 for 13 from three-point range until finally getting one. Patrick Williams halfway through that third quarter. Great overall effort by the Laker D until, as you guys kind of mentioned, they got a little, kind of rested a little bit in that fourth quarter.
Jump on it, James.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you have a good defensive player on you. Most offensive players like Zach LaVine, they can counter that and get score. But when you have a whole team of collective guys, you come off one pick, Caruso's there. You come off another pick, Shooter's there. You come off another pick, Caruso's there. You go down the lane, they're taking charges. I didn't know that the Lakers lead the league in charges
22
this year. So, yeah, when you have a whole team defending you, they can shut you down. Kobe White the same way. And I think that's what the Lakers did. They created havoc defensively. You beat one guy, you got to beat 2 or 3 others. So I think when they're connected like that, they can take players out of the game. I just think, LaVine got frustrated. He couldn't get what he wanted. Every time he got, something that he thought was decent, defense just jumped on it and just swallowed them up.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned killing their spirit earlier, Rob, and I think you mentioned 6 charges at halftime. Teams, this is their Super Bowl, right? Especially a team like the Bulls. You got the Lakers, the champs coming into town. When the Lakers have that energy in the first half, it does send them.
Especially the guy saying, okay, I did pretty well against them the last time.
Yeah, they felt good.
Yeah,
January 8th,
good.
2-point game.
But the Lakers remember that too. So they're going to come out and play a little bit better defense. If you watch their defense tonight, it was a swarming defense. Everybody was putting a foot in the paint. They was using their hands. They was getting deflection. And the biggest thing for me, they was boxing out and getting rebounds. When you got a team that's that active, it's hard for the other team to score because they don't know what they want to do because they're running them off the three-point line. They're driving it in. They're taking charges. So that kind of plays in your mind where you kind of skittish on what you want to do with the rock. And that proved with LaVine shooting, 29 shots tonight and not having getting his average, I should say.
Yeah. Let's see what the hardworking people in the control room came up with. Brez, they always have fun stuff for you.
What we got?
Let's see what's new tonight. There it is. Let me.
Chef AD.
Rob said, let him eat.
Let him eat.
Chef.
Feed him.
AD.
Yeah, AD
Big game set. Yeah, big game set. I don't know what he had, Brez, for the home cooked meal, but it worked.
He also was the scavenger. The scavenger that swims around in the fish aquarium and eats up everything else that's left. He got everything else that was left too.
Yeah, remember he did not play in that Laker game against the Bulls 2 weeks ago.
Good point.
And there was a lot of chatter after the game. The Lakers gave up 115 points to the Bulls, 38 to LaVine, like we said. A lot of talk. We've got to start playing some defense. And now it seems like almost every game they're keeping opponents maybe a little over 100 or even under 100. Very hard to do.
And more screams to Ryan Trainer, our post-game producer. There's your helpful Honda. It's a nice thing for the show, James, when you get it out early.
Yeah. I mean that play is that's part of their offense.
Yeah.
They get like 2 or 3 a game. When I see them out there playing football, pregame, I think they're working on that pass, man, because they get it a lot.
How was your outlet passes? Decent?
Oh, it was awesome, man. I'm probably the best at it all the time.
Dig up some video. Lakers hold Chicago to just 39% shooting. Let's hear from Frank Vogel. He's speaking with Mike and the media on the Zoom.
Hey, Frank, just such a different profile from the Milwaukee game in terms of threes versus paint points and kind of defense aside from that third quarter. What does that tell you about the team and how did you see that play out?
Well, I love the way we approach this game. We want to continue to improve regardless of what the result of the last game was. We want to have a growth mindset. And, we know we have to improve with our paint defense, our transition defense, and our assertiveness offensively. And we didn't shoot the ball that well offensively from the perimeter. But, when you can get to the rim, that's always the first option. And, I like the way we attack the paint offensively. And obviously the defense in the first half was maybe as good as we've been all year. I think we took 6 charges and just an exceptional commitment to all of our coverages and the paint first mindset.
You were asked about AD's offensive rhythm before the game, and you said that wasn't exactly a concern of yours. He comes out super efficient tonight, 37, 11 points in the paint. I suppose that's what you were, I don't want to say expecting, but can you describe how that occurred in this case?
Yeah, I mean, he just, we want to make sure we're playing through him as much as possible. And, we got a lot of new guys on this team, so there's been times early in the season where myself and even AD has been trying to get other guys comfortable. And we knew this week, the beginning of this trip was a time to really start having him be more assertive. And he didn't have a great night against Milwaukee, but the mindset was there. And tonight, obviously he was dominant with how he was playing. So like I said, it was not something we're worried about, just something you balance trying to get everybody going throughout the course of a long season. And he was great tonight.
Kyle? Hey, Frank. I'm sure after tonight, you guys are still the #1 defense in the NBA, and obviously the record speaks for itself. How much of that do you think is a reflection of AD's sort of perfectionism and drive, not only to improve himself but the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two pieces of what you're talking about with AD. One, what he does personally on the court and the pride that he takes, but the like you said, the perfectionist part of him, wanting to be great on that side of the ball. When your two captains are really bought into being great on the defensive end, the rest of the group follows, and we have a lot of defensive talent. So, if we're working together and we're connected and playing with a locked-in mindset like we saw in the first half, we're very, very difficult to score against. And with the firepower that we have offensively, we'd be tough to beat. So we got to continue with that defensive commitment.
Dave?
Frank, before the game, you said that probably the top line of the scouting report is opposing teams trying to take away your transition opportunities. Is line number 2 your three-point shooting? You guys didn't shoot it all that well tonight, coming off a really strong game in Milwaukee. Was there anything schematic or pressure-wise that Chicago was doing that led to that 4 for 19 showing?
I don't think it was necessarily. I mean, Chicago played good defense. I don't think they were trying to take away our threes. They're a paint first type of defense, but their starting center was out, so they played a lot of small lineups. They started a young player at center in Gafford, and I think they were just a little bit undermanned in terms of trying to stop us at the paint. So
that little strut. See Kobe's face. See Bean's face in the back.
Going down to the basement.
Here we go, baby.
Take the elevator down, Rob.
Take it down, but we're going to take it up a notch because it's time for AD to show what AD did in this 360 rack. It's all about AD. Here, passing around. Look, this is the thing you got to understand. Ball movement, player movement is the best thing to get. He goes back door. He doesn't have the shot. He kicks to KCP. KCP kicks, and just moving the ball around. But this is the best part about it. AD recognized there's a hole in the middle of the offense. He cuts for an easy dunk in the basket. Great pass by Dennis Dominic. Here we on a break. It's a slow, methodical break. Here LeBron kicks it over. Now they're penetrating, doing what they're trying to do. AD, if this was the NFL right now, because it's NFL Sunday tomorrow, he'd get fined for stumping on the logo. But right here, he says, I'm going to stump on the logo, go middle, set you up, spin back, lay it over the left hand, bucket in the paint. Right here, we got another bucket. I'm going to go down. I'm going to stomp on your logo again, baby. I'm going to post up. This is where he likes to eat. Mid-post. He eats right here.
Chef
right now,
AD.
he's looking at the defense, trying to depend on what am I going to do? He spins. You know what? I'm going to step back. Hey, you know what I'm going to do?
Drop.
Rook, look at the Rook. This is the biggest mistake by a rookie. You not paying attention to the best man in the world? He cuts back door, dunks it on your head. Come on, Rook. This is like, what is it? Come on, man. If it's the NFL, come on now. Right here, this is the best thing about this. Schroeder gets up above the slam dunk contest. Champion, tips it out to LeBron. LeBron puts on his Terminator vision. He looks up. He says, you know what? I got AD programmed.
Rob, he does have Terminator vision, doesn't he?
Programmed AD to run down the court. And look, Rook, come on, Rook. It's what you got to learn, Rook. You got to understand this is what the Lakers do. You got to understand the situations. Rookies get picked on so much, James. Don't pick on the Rook, man. Especially
We should have a segment, Come On,
state
Rook.
like that. You know,
Come on, Rook.
come on, Rook.
I'd love to see Rob at halftime with a team. They're down like 17.
Like a fiery wall behind him.
Oh, you should
When
see.
you gonna learn? Come on, Rook.
You should see me coaching my AAU team. Boys, get the rebound. You know, I used to yell at him all the time.
Old school.
Is this your idea, Rob? The fire?
Yeah, it's fire. I got some. Hey, keep your eye out. What's up next for the fire? I got
I
some.
don't
Remember
know.
you
I
my
mean,
girls'
it's fire.
volleyball tournaments, my daughters? I mean, you light some fires.
Oh,
They're good today. They're 3-0 today, though. All right, Marc Gasol blocked 3 shots in the win. He's speaking with Mike. No big deal.
come on, Rook.
Hey, Mark, a totally different way you guys won this game from the Bucks game. So, threes versus scoring inside and defense taking charges. What are you seeing about the various ways that you guys have been winning games this season?
We kind of, playing with what the defense is giving us, and trying to take advantage and create a spacing for, Braun and AD to kind of operate and decide how the offense is gonna look. Sometimes it's gonna be with threes, but the main focus is attacking the paint. Once you get to the paint, you make your decision, see who's open. If it's the guy driving, or the guy posting up, or where the help is coming from. If they're doubling, just trying to create that on that offense.
And Mark, just one big picture question for you now. 9 straight wins in the road. Just wondered your thoughts on your experience with this team so far. Like what you've enjoyed, how it lines up to what your expectations were, or whatever.
I'm very happy defensively how the team looks, and it can really take a next step also. And very deep team, a lot of size, a lot of options. Great guys that have the right mindset, team first guys, great leadership, great coaching, all positive. Honestly, it's been really good first couple months.
Dan?
Hey, Mark. I have a couple kind of off the beaten path sort of questions. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's death, and
Don, I really don't. I'm not comfortable talking about it. I'm sorry. Still to this day, I'm not. Haven't never really talked about it, and I'm sorry that I cannot give you any thoughts or stuff on it. But go ahead. You can ask a question.
Well, the other question I was going to ask is, this team says Mamba on 3 when they break huddles, and now and he's still celebrated within the team. I guess what does that mean to you that his name is still a part of what you guys are trying to do this year?
He will be a part not only of the team, the franchise, the city, for each player. For like we talked a million times about it, I think, and everybody said their piece. It's very emotional. So he's obviously something that someone that we looked up to. So yeah.
It's on net.
All right, we got Steve Nash. He's pumped. Taking on the Heat. Fourth quarter, Nets up 109-104. Bam. Little jumper. He had a career high 41. Durant pump fakes. Huge basket for the Nets. He's a bucket. Heat would fight back. Duncan Robinson gets the handoff, fires away. Got it. Cuts the Nets lead to only 3.
With the uniforms.
Nets would make their free throws, and they'd win the game 128-124. Kyrie on his Instagram story. We will be on that stage, the stage where the best of the best meet. You know, the main stage where those who can do and those who cannot talk about those that are doing. If you're rolling with us, great. Let's rock. If you're not, you know you want to talk about our greatness. Anyway, a lot of exclamation points. Robert?
I'm confused. I don't get confused.
Talking about the stage, I think that you've been on many times maybe in your career. Is that the stage?
Like we always say, don't talk about it, be about it. You can write all you want, but you
You
ain't
know,
really showing
guys are
me anything
sensitive.
right now.
Let's be honest. I mean, you
Especially
get Harden, all the stuff that's kind of going on with the team. You have Harden, Kevin Durant on the same team. What do you think? There's gonna be a microscope on you. This is what you wanted. Yes, they're going to talk about you. There's going to be expectations on you. Is that okay?
Yeah, they're a little touchy because they lost back-to-back games to Cleveland. You know, they didn't look great tonight. No Jimmy Butler. They barely beat Miami, despite those god-awful Miami uniforms. I have no idea what those were.
Miami Heat, baby.
Yeah,
Miami Vice version.
I mean, I like their unis usually, but I have no idea what that is. But I think they're a little sensitive because people thought they'd be, 3-0, 4-0 out of the chute. It's not happening.
Listen, they have three of the best players, three great players, on the team. People are going to want you to lose. Don't you think these guys were part of the greatest teams ever? People love to hate them. Who cares?
Right.
More to come on Access. AD was
into it.
Well, I study the teams. I prepare for the teams every day, leading up to the game, and watched film on them yesterday. I watched their game yesterday that they had versus Charlotte. Then I watched a lot of film this morning and just try to get, accustomed to a lot of the sets that they run so I can keep my guys prepared, keep them a little bit ahead of the play. So just being very knowledgeable about, some of the sets that they like to run, some of the ATOs, some of the things they like to run the half court, things of that nature, just to have my guys keeping their head on the swivel and not get surprised by anything.
Yeah, the defense speaks for itself with the points allowed in the first half. Offensively, it was a different profile from the Bucks game, threes and paint points. How much of that is what the defense is given? How much of that is a focus from the way you're playing? Every game has its own challenges, and every game is its own. You got to win that game. So tonight was an opportunity for us to get better. And AD came out from the start. Being a hometown kid, him and Taylor. It was our job to help them get the ball to them, and let them make plays in AD, and they both did that.
Bill?
Hey, LeBron. Tuesday will be a year since the accident, and I'm wondering, you were in a really tough spot as the leader of this team going through that, and kind of the face of the organization going through that. I'm wondering how you feel like going through that as the leader of this team changed your relationship with the city of Los Angeles and with the organization.
I try not to, put myself back in that headspace because it was, just too dark for not only myself, but for organization and for everyone that's involved in it. As the leader of the ball club, it was my job and my responsibility to take it all on, and represent our team with the most strength that I could, prosper at that point in time. For the purple and gold, for Laker Nation, it was my job to take that responsibility. And I wanted to let everyone know inside this organization that I was okay with doing that, that's all I can say about that.
Dave?
LeBron, Anthony called himself out after the last game you guys had, even though you won. And he said he wasn't playing well as of late. I'm curious, is that part of the accountability that you guys speak about as what you want to have in that locker room, him acknowledging that he wants more from him? And did you put your arm around a guy like that? Did you try to help him going through whatever the funk he claims it to be?
Absolutely, both. One, sometimes you allow a guy to kind of, go through it and figure it out for themselves, but also at the same time, let him know that we're here for him. And me as the leader of the squad and me as his brother, let him know whatever he needs from me, I can do. And it started with us, getting him the ball early and often, tonight, and and it's just right back on track.
Kyle?
Hey, LeBron, one of the common threads between you and Kobe is how much you both love Michael Jordan. And I'm wondering, as when Kobe was coming up, he was very famous for kind of replicating Mike and doing those moves. As either a teenager or a young guy in the league, was that something that you sort of had an appreciation for and gave you any kind of respect factor for Kobe?
I only looked at Kobe for him. Obviously you've seen a lot of the similarities between, him and Mike, but I appreciate Kobe's game for Kobe's game. The way he played the game, the finesse that he played with, the ball handling, the capabilities, the shooting, everything that he possessed on the floor. I respected him for who he was as a player, and what he was able to bring out on the floor, the fact that he was able to, take some things from MJ and look at some of MJ's DNA and actually be able to do it. A lot of people try to do that. A lot of people wish they can take things from some of the greats and implement it into their game and then become successful. They just can't. They don't have the ability to do it, or they don't have the drive to do it. They don't have the mindset to do it. But he actually did it, and did it at a high level for a long time. And you can respect that.
Last question, Dan.
LeBron, I appreciate you and your willingness to talk a little bit about some of this stuff. You guys talk about Kobe. You do it when you break huddles. You did it last year when you wore the Mamba jerseys. You guys have celebrated him in the year. How did that help the grieving process, and why is it important to continue to do that as a team?
Man, it's a saying that says time heals all. And as devastating and as tragic as it was and it still is to all of us involved with it, only time, and it takes time. Everyone has their own grieving process. Everyone understands how, everyone individually is different, and everyone is going to, grieve differently, and how long it takes them to come to grips with it, that's up to them and that individual. All you can do as a friend or a loved one or anyone, and our brotherhood and our familyhood that we have here with the Lakers organization is to put an arm around someone when they need it. So, us being able to remember him and, wear the jerseys during the postseason, have the postseason success we had, like as you guys saw with those uniforms, or, we got a lot of guys that wear shoes still to this day, obviously. I'm able to wear the 2-4 on my finger every night. And then when we play in Staples Center, you see that 8 and 2-4 in the rafters and be able to just live his legacy on, It's a lot of things that die in this world, but legends never die, and he's exactly that. So it's all about representing that.
Appreciate you, LeBron. Thank you.
We'll be right